Don't try to sneak into your room like that. I know what you've got behind your back. Records. More new records.
Okay, we're going to walk into the Magnapan Rogue Audio room.
Thank you. Well, we're about to drop the tone arm.
Oh, cool.
About to drop the...
Something extra to kind of see them do.
Thanks, guys.
Nothing turns a day on, really gets it done. Like a little bit of loving from someone and someone like you.
Truly time and base coherent system. You can pass a square wave through the system.
So this is a brand new Soda turntable with a direct drive platform in there, and there's the Alphason arm on that side, and that looks like a Frank Schroeder arm on the other side. And I've seen the measurements on this platter speed, and it's pretty impressive, but we'll talk about that later. And what is this going to sell for?
This is just a prototype, so it's not what it looks like, but this will start out at $22,000.
Okay.
And it works its way up to the diamond.
My age is not good news. And I've been working, I had to, Peter Mandick, who's a designer, electronics designer that works with us, I had to take him to his house the other day, and I nearly wrecked my back getting him in the car. So I found the perfect solution to moving these speakers, or any heavy speaker. It's called a mortuary cot. And it's what morticians use to take dead bodies out or to transport the coffins. And it flattens down to the ground, and there's a lip, so you can just use it as a regular dolly. You slip it under the speaker, you lean it down onto the floor, and then either end you can keep just seesawing it up, and then it sits at exactly the right height for my station wagon to just roll it in. And you've seen these stretchers when they roll them into the ambulance, the wheels just kick up behind it. Mm-hmm. This cot does the same thing. So I can just load the speaker into the car and drive off. My wife was appalled when I told her I was going to buy one of these. And she said, just promise me you won't buy a second-hand one. So no, they're available on Amazon, just saying. So.
And then there'll be one final use for it too. So
exactly.
Well, no, I hate to say that your funeral will be cheaper.
But there'll be almost immediate use as well, because my back, I've been designing speakers for a long time. Yeah. Every speaker engineer has a bad back, and I do. And sometimes I'm crashing to the floor and can't move. So they can take me home. But just load me onto the car and load me into the back of the car. So, I've got all angles covered with this. So,
what's the sensitivity for the speaker?
Same as the bookshelf, so it's 87 dB. Because basically, since it's the same driver, I transferred the crossover from the bookshelf into this, but then added the high pass to roll it off in the bass, and then the low pass crossover for the bass driver. But the crossovers are considerably bigger. The one on the Source Point 8 is about that big, but it's all upgraded on here. So I've got two crossover boards that are about this big, stacked on top of each other, mounted on the back panel. I increased the size of that back panel so I could get them in and mount them. So it's a very substantial crossover. Everything's about it is substantial. So that's going to be my next subwoofer. I'm going to call it the substantial, or the substandard. I think that's a good name for a subwoofer. So let me play you some music.
So Alan Perkins, I've known you at least 5 years now, and this is your latest turntable that I have in for review.
That's right.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about this turntable?
All right. It has a synchronous motor that can play 33, 45, 78. That's all got fine adjustment capability, and simple switching on off, and you have a readout to know your speed. You can trim it, like I'll turn it up a 33.4, so it's very adjustable. This is the master deck arm, and it's unique in that on the vertical plane is a unipivot, and it also incorporates a gimbal for the vertical motion. So it's kind of a unique design that way. The unipivot is stabilized by two ruby balls that rotate on the central shaft. These bearings on the side are ABEX 7s. They are very, very high tolerance bearings. And it offers all the adjustments. And one other cool feature is the removable head shell. There's one screw here. You loosen it slightly to adjust azimuth. You can, use a pen to make a mark here if you want to keep a record of where you had your cartridge and have multiple cartridges, pre-set up. And just that little screw tightens it back up again, or lets you take it off.
That's great. Now, I noticed in the other room, the turntable is a different pulley. Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, we we have experimented a lot with speeds and how quiet the motor can be by adjusting speeds and the algorithms that drive it. And one of the changes we made required a different pulley. And I think that this was just a prototype table that works well, so we brought it to the show.
Is the one across the way that I forget what one my pulley looks like, but
I think the one across the way is an older table. It is a smaller pulley than this.
yes, exactly. And so and this is a $6,000 turntable
With arm, yes.
with arm. Yeah,
Not without a cartridge, but yes, with arm.
that's great. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, my pleasure, Michael.
So busy, it's like,
Oh yeah.
I met a dog that's hypoallergenic, and the poodle made him photogenic. Don't shake, don't bark, and can play in the band.
this is the 12?
Yes, this is the 12.
Like a shot of good love. I got a If you see us rolling up, thumbs up, puppy and a truck. I don't got no kids, I don't got no kids, I don't got no
I just played a second ago is the correction signal on the, this is the correction signal on a pure tone. Okay? You can hear it moving. Now if I add them together and invert them, this is what happens. Okay? Why? Alright? So we do these kind of things to see what the performance level is that we're getting and to ascertain, to be sure that there's no confirmation bias involved. But I'm going to go back to that Sinatra for a second. And this is the thing, is that there's a couple things going on in there. One is the groove. Imagine that the machine, that old thing you saw happen a few minutes ago,
pennies in a stream, falling leaves, a sycamore, moonlight in Vermont.
All right, so imagine, since you just saw what kind of oceanic motion that a really great machine will introduce into the groove. Yeah.
Pennies in a stream,
You see why?
falling leaves, a sycamore, moonlight in Vermont.
So when people talk about musicality, they talk about objective versus subjective, talk about musicality, that's what the fucker played. Okay? That's what he played. Since it's all dudes in the room, I imagine that everybody is kind of wondering what this sounds like. I feel like Beavis and Butthead all of a sudden. But here's what actually was played, and you'll hear a different tonality in the toms and the space. Worth going back and forth one more time. Great performance, great recording. Good job, Hugh. Good job, Phil. But that's what we hear, what they heard. So again, when people talk and the argument comes down that I hear a lot, and it's sort of on Hopman or a variety of other places, subjective. You're just objective. You just look at numbers. You just look at, well, you do meld testing. You know, no. Is it musical? Yes. Musicality to me becomes, when does it hit the original intent? When does it actually jump back to what they actually were doing, instead of a variety of ways of various colorations that might seem, you know, in one moment or another to feel attractive. Okay. Now, on the other hand, I've seen some stuff that's phenomenally bright that needed to be sat on. Turn it down just a smidge. This one's really fun. I really love this because this is a real run-of-the-gun Atlantic Records. These are Rascals. This is Tom Dowd.
What you trying to do to my heart?
It's a pretty good recording.
What you trying
trying to do to my heart? You go around telling lies, you fool around with the other guy. What you trying to do to my heart? You better run, you better hide, from my
And Michael was the last thing he talked about compression. It's fairly compressed. But it didn't sound bad to them because here's what they were getting.
What you trying to do to my heart?
And this is the Rascals. This is the bar
What you
band.
trying to do to my heart? You go around telling lies, you fool around with the other guy. What you trying to do to my heart? You better run, you better hide, from my side.
I'll take it. Okay, you know what I mean? Because that's the bar band. I'm just old enough to have caught the tail end of when they were still flying around the Jersey Shore, and there was an ethos to that, and that is it. Now, why does it sound so shitty in the right channel? Because it's a 4-to-1 combined. There was no other way they could do it. That is a 4-to-1 combined, and then they dub voices and tambourine and some other stuff on top of it. So that is a little messy. But I tell you what, push it back a generation, and it's perfectly plausible.
By myself, no one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you. I know for certain the one I love. I'm through with flirting, it's you that I'm dreaming.
So this is a new line for you of Soulution products.
Yes, that's the new 3 series, the second generation, which replaces the older version. It has 5 products in the line, so it's a stereo amp, a preamp, a integrated amp, as well as an outboard phono stage and an outboard DAC.
Oh, so why don't you run me through the 4 pieces here?
So this piece here is the 326 preamplifier. Then we have on the bottom shelf the 312 stereo power amp. We have on the right side the 350 phono stage, as well as on the bottom side then the 360 DAC.
All right, and what are the price points of these things?
They are not finally set. I think here for the US, we can afterwards ask maybe Axis Audio for the pre-sales pricing, but I can just give you rough prices. Roughly the 326 is going to be something like 20 to 25. The 312 as well is around 20 to 25 most likely.
Okay.
Here we are talking about 15 to 20 on the
phono
stage. and the DAC is most likely around 20. But you should ask Access Audio
Okay.
for the precise pricing. Right?
Yeah, okay, well, these are approximate prices.
There's
That's good enough for
approximate,
now.
they will actually then
Yeah,
set
and when
the
are these
price.
going into production?
We have planned to have production in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously, I'd be interested in reviewing that at some point.
Sure,
if
sure.
possible. All right. And that's all you got?
That's what's new.
Okay.
Just over there we have the integrated amp, which is the fifth product in the line, which is, let's say, the same boards, the same technology as the outboard products, just all in one chassis. So you have a preamp, the power amps. You can also add the phono stage as well as a DAC.
So modules.
Yes.
And this price is going to be around the same?
Around 35 for the base model, I think 32, 35 for the base model, and then of course, if you add the phone or the DAC card, it's going
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you.
We have a new series, it's called the Capello series, with all the technologies inside from the bigger models. And this is just for an entry level, and you can have it in a bookshelf, a smaller floor standing, and this one is the top model, the Capello 100, a three-way system, 2 woofers, mid-range, tweeter can be chosen in aluminum or in beryllium.
Oh.
And we have the TDC inside. That's the time delay control, so the tweeter is delayed in time to coincide with the mid-range. And
which is a good idea.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, because that's the impulse response. That's what you just heard.
Yep.
It's the music, the life of the music, the spirit of music. That everything is precise, everything is in time. Time alignment is the most important thing for a speaker. Otherwise, you never get the perfect illusion. And,
yes.
We have some tricks inside for setting up the bass level and the bass extension to adjust the speaker to the room, so it can play in any room.
And how much are these going to cost?
$25,000 US per pair, and you can have it in piano finish, black and white, and in walnut, rosewood.
And what are these cabinets made out of?
It's just normal, regular wood.
Okay.
It's a sandwich construction here. Different layers, and the outer layers they have holes inside, and we fill sand inside, so the whole wall is filled with sand, and that's why it's so stable, dampened, and why it has such a good bass isolation.
Yeah, bass was good.
Yeah, bass
room's difficult room, but it's
difficult room, but bass is so precise, and so, and that's due to the cabinet and due to the crossover and the drivers. Drivers are new; they are made by us, by ourselves. Just the beryllium tweeter.
You make these yourselves?
Yeah, so just like the old isophone connection.
Yeah.
So we produced a lot of drivers in the last 100 years.
Right.
almost 29.
And so you can have a choice of beryllium or aluminum. And is the difference in price?
Yeah, $5,000 US per pair.
Difference.
It's difference between beryllium and aluminum.
And after you get the aluminum ones, can you call up your company and say, hey, could you switch out to the other ones? Or
Absolutely.
You could do that?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, cool.
You can start with aluminum and then just exchange the drivers, and that's it.
Good.
You don't have to adjust the frequency crossover. Everything's inside.
Great. Okay, that's it. We've done it.
To me, so
Okay, Mathhew Webster, it's nice to talk to you. And
very good to talk to you.
So when did you buy this company? This is kind of like Victor Kassem and the Razor thing.
No, I'm one of the investment team, but from my point of view, I was a YG customer from 2015 or 2016. And I'm lucky enough to have been able to pick just about, I sound like Victor Kassem already, pick just about any loudspeaker I wanted. And the YGs for me were extraordinary. I'd already worked with YG to improve the crossover.
Are you the guy responsible for improving the crossover?
Yes, I may be that person.
Because when I first heard them, I didn't respond to them too well. And then one year I went to CES, and I walked in the room and, whoa, this is good. And I went out to Rick Rubin. I was walking around the show with Rick. I said, Rick, I want to take you to the YG Acoustics room. And he goes, oh, I've heard those speakers. I really don't like them. I said, this is not what you heard.
Yeah.
And I dragged him in there. Well, I brought him in there. I didn't drag Rick Rubin any place. And he listened. He heard the same thing I heard. They were more coherent. They just sounded right. So you did that.
I think that was, I was talking to Yoav at the time, and so I was already sort of involved on the design. My background is computational simulation, maths, and science. I've been working with sort of simulation of everything from biochemistry to acoustics, underwater acoustics, hypersonics, things like that. And for me, all the way through, a passion's been hi-fi and listening to music. And so it was just such a privilege to be able to work with YG. So I started in 2020.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, it was great because I kind of feel there's hi-fi systems are about this magic, this goosebump thing.
Yeah.
And it's, in my head, it's not accuracy. We're not trying to make a laboratory instrument. You're making something that transports you to this state of enjoying the music. There's so much manipulation, not every track, but with most tracks, before it actually gets to the recording you're listening to. This understanding what does this magic has been what's driven me. And that's what I think over the last 4 years we've been pushing for at YG.
And you're located in Colorado?
No, I'm based in Cambridge in the UK. So
in the UK?
Our research and development now is mainly done from the UK in Cambridge, and all of our manufacturing is still done in Colorado.
Oh, was it originally in Colorado?
Our R&D used to be in Colorado, yes. I think it's ever since I've started working with the company. I'm based in Cambridge myself.
I see.
And I have a huge group of people I know in Cambridge around the university. So
there's a lot of smart people around there, yeah. And where are these manufactured?
Everything is made in Colorado. So
so it is made here?
Yes, all of the manufacturing is here.
Okay.
Our research and development is in Cambridge.
I see. And so the speakers I'm reviewing that are $14,000 a pair, so to go downscale like that, how do you pack so much goodness into a speaker at that price? I gave away too much.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you like them. Peaks, which was the series we introduced just after I started working with YG, was this first approach of huge amounts of computational simulation, but combined with so much measurement and listening. So it's a strange thing. We were driving for this magic of this goosebump thing, and we spent so long working out what leads to that, and through measurement and simulation, how we could deliver that in speakers. There are so many innovations we made in Peaks to let us bring it down to that price point. The first is this dense resin fiber cabinet.
What is that cabinet made out of?
It's just the same way that you have MDF is a relatively cheap material that uses resin and wood fibers. If you use a different resin and a different grade of wood fiber, you can have something which has a much higher density and a very specific behavior in terms of being self-damping that was just perfect.
Because it is very dense.
It's very dense.
And weighs a lot.
Yeah. I think that's I'm guilty of making very heavy loudspeakers.
And they're tricky to move because they're so heavy. Yeah. There's nothing to grab.
So it has this faceplate which we still mill in house, which is from 1.5" thick aluminium, and every other part of it is this dense resin fiber, and every part of it is just innovative. So the crossover is not like any traditional crossover. It's not just standard filters. It's optimized around exactly delivering this phase coherence. So if you look at the Talus, the mid and tweeter, are phase coherent to within a degree or two, or about 2.5 octaves around the crossover point. So for 2.5 octaves, they're moving exactly in synchronization, so it sounds like a point source. And this was one of the sort of magic things that we discovered, trying to work out what makes this convincing realism in loudspeakers. So it's a lot of simulation and R&D that lets us push it to a lower price point, but still keep the performance where we want.
Yeah, and they're handsome looking speakers too.
Thank you, sir.
There's a lot going on for them, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right. And the drivers that are in there are exactly what are?
The drivers, the tweeter in the Peaks range is a specific proprietary YG tweeter, and it's different to the tweeter we have in the reference 3 range that we introduced at Munich last year, in that the reference 3 range has this, I need to shine a light on it, but you can just about see it has this lattice airframe, which is sitting under the silk fabric. And the lattice airframe is a unique feature of the reference 3 range. So the Peaks tweeter is different to the reference 3 tweeter, but in every other way, all of the other drivers are exactly the same as we use in our reference range. So all of these are solid aluminium, which we machine in-house from a billet. We've looked at so many different approaches. We've looked at stamping.
You mean these bodies?
No, the cones are actually made out of aluminium.
Oh.
And we machine them in-house. So this we take a billet and we reduce it down to 0.15 millimeters of thickness by machining both sides of it. It turns out that if you take heat-treated aluminium and you very carefully machine it, it's a very relaxed crystal structure. It has no tension built into it, so it behaves almost ideally from an acoustic perspective. It's pistonic over a huge range. And these are exactly the same drivers that we use in Peaks.
And so the woofers are also the same?
Yes, all of these are aluminium drivers milled in-house. That's the same all the way up to the 32 centimeter drivers that we use for our basis subwoofers.
I guess there's not much more to talk about in the speaker, except to write about it. All right, and so you've been head of the company for how long?
I started in 2020, so 4 years now.
And so when you took over, did you find what you were expecting to find when you looked at the books and everything, or was all that done, all the forensics was done beforehand, so you got to see what was going on?
I think I knew the company really well. It was strange because I started with YG in the middle of COVID. So for the first 2 years, I couldn't visit because there were all the travel restrictions in place. So I got to know everyone very, very well by Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
Which is great. I didn't think that would happen.
It's fine.
I became really good friends with them over Zoom. And actually going across there, it was great. The team is incredible, and the manufacturing capabilities we have.
Was it a hostile takeover, or was it a friendly thing?
It was very friendly.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't. From my perspective, I joined a team that was very, very enthusiastic about what we were doing, and I was just bringing new design capabilities.
So, what is your least expensive speaker?
Least expensive speaker is the Cairn in the Peaks range, which is just under $8,000.
Okay, and so the one that I'm reviewing is $14,000. It's still near the lower price point of the speakers.
Yes.
And there's a lot of speaker there for $14,000.
We like to think so. We've done our very best.
Yeah.
It's really nice to. It's a lovely thing to build cost no object speakers that.
Of course. That's easier though,
yes,
isn't
exactly.
it? Easier to do that in some ways. Not in every way, but in some ways.
It's easier because you don't have the constraints. It's always challenging to get that final ounce of performance out.
Yeah.
But to push that to a reduced price point, to make it more accessible, to have a bigger marketplace that can listen to it, is much more difficult. Yeah. And it's something that, to be honest, we're much more proud of.
But that's a really attractive price point to get a floor standing speaker in at 14K, and also looks attractive.
Thank you.
But if you have little kids, you can't have those speakers.
No, I think it's a problem with a lot of speakers.
Yeah.
I think.
But what if you made some kind of cover when you're not listening?
We've looked at that. It's actually.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
It's something that we have a couple of designs that we're looking to introduce. The challenge is to come up with something that doesn't impact the sonic performance, because the problem is.
Well, you take it off when you're.
I understand. The challenge is some people don't do that, and it's a challenge for us. We'd love to have a cover that has minimum acoustic impact, because we know some of our customers will leave it on.
Well, you just have to have a little spy camera there, and when they leave it on, you just, hey, take those covers off.
Exactly, or it refuses to play music until you take it off.
Yeah. Okay, well, this has been great. Thank you. Now, if I give it a really negative review, it'll be really nasty, won't it? But
That's good. I'll be ready for it.
Okay, no, it's not going to happen. All right, thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So are these gallium nitride tubes in there?
No, actually, excuse me, is it possible we give him some light here if you... Okay,
Thank you.
she's trying to... No, those are actually, this is just simply a decoration, you know, the idea...
Oh, really?
The idea, no, it's a Class D amp, but basically it has this mysterious quality of the top big tube-like, and when you listen to it, it really sounds like tube. And we put this in to just basically give this impression
To suggest it to people.
To suggest
Yeah,
it to people. It's a marketing trick.
That's
and it's copied actually from the AGD Alberto's design with his permission. It's not my idea.
Yeah.
And we both did the same